Om Shri Sai Ram. I'll begin off with a story that Swami would often narrate during his discourses. And the interesting thing about this story is that it's actually a real life story. It was very evident that this story is very, very close to Swami's heart. And this is a story of a mother and a son. Swami would narrate that this happened during the Second World War, and there was a lot of suffering and damage due to the war. And here was a mother and her children who had been, put onto the roads because of this war. And the mother would daily go out begging for food so that she could feed her two sons. And this went on for some time, after which it became very, very difficult for her to get food by begging also. And finally one day she collapses out of sheer exhaustion. And as Swami would narrate this story, one could see the pain in Swami's eyes. And that was the most touching part, It was not like Swami is telling a story. We would feel like Swami is viewing it happening live somewhere in the distance and just giving us a commentary on what's happening. Swami would say that one day the boy set out. The boy goes out to beg because the mother is unable to move. The boy is very hungry, but the mother has collapsed. So there's no other thing to do other than he himself go and beg. He keeps going from door to door, and Swami says that he lands up in front of the door of a very wealthy person, in front of the gate. This person is sitting on the lawns on a chair, crossing his legs and reading the newspaper, having his tea, a cup of tea. And this boy calls out, "Please give me some food, give me some food." And Swami says that the boy is also so hungry that his voice, he has to put in all his efforts so that the voice reaches that person. And as he calls out, he collapses. The man suddenly notices that there's a child who has collapsed at the gate. He quickly summons somebody to get food from home. And at this point, Swami would become extremely emotional as he would narrate that when that food was brought and the person tries to feed the boy says, "First for my mother, first for my mother." I'm getting emotional because in my mind's eye I'm getting how Swami would become when he would narrate this. Swami would almost break down in the middle of his discourse, and he would say that boy said first food has to be given for the mother. And then Swami would complete, it's a tragic story. By the time they reach the mother is dead. And when they come back, the boy is also dead by then. But Swami would say, this is the love that exists between a mother and a child. Every discourse, at least 6-7 times I have heard Swami narrating this story. And every time when Swami would narrate it, oh my God, I would get such a surging love towards my parents, especially my mother. Invariably, that day evening after the discourse, 100% I would make a call to speak to my mother. And it was not unique to me, because that day invariably there would be a long queue at the phone booth in the hostel. Many would feel like talking to their mother and expressing their love for the mothers. And I'm sure many mothers would have been surprised that day, what happened to my son suddenly? What happened? Suddenly he's all mushy with love. But that's the impact that it would have. This is when I was in school. As we grow, as we reach college, it had impact, but it wouldn't be so intense. Somehow we seem to grow and we think we become mature by being non-emotional. So yes, I would still remember my mother fondly, but maybe not as intensely as I felt it back in the school days. It changes. When we are children, when we are young, we are so impressionable. Emotions make a huge impact on us. They shape us. And that's why it is so important that as parents, we mold our children in the right way. Now when I hear that story, I end up just thinking, hey, how I wish my children are like that, how I wish they love me like that. And I'm sure that many parents will be in sync with me, hoping that our children are like that, that they love us, that they think of us before they think of themselves. Dear parents, let me say that in most cases that is what happens. There was an interview that was done where many parents had been called and they were asked whom would they like to spend a dream date with, and they could name anybody from politicians to leaders to people in the past to sports people to movie actors, anybody, any superstar your dream date with. And both the mother, father came up with so many dream dates that they would like to spend time with, either intellectually or because they are fans of or whatever. And then the experimenters turned the tables around. They called the children of these parents. All these were young parents who were selected. All children were under 10 years of age. And at that time, when they asked the children with whom their dream date would be, without exception, each and every child picks either the father or mother or both. And that's when tears begins to flow down from the eyes of the parents, when they realize that the biggest superstars, the biggest heroes, the dream dates for all the children are their parents. And that's a phase that lasts for a short period, because after that, like how we have our dream dates, we think of movie stars or sports stars or leaders or anybody. Like, if somebody asks me, I will say I want to be with Swami. But despite me having told all of this about Swami to my daughters, even now, for them, it's either mother or father. So this is a very, very precious period, the childhood years for the children, when they are so impressionable. And one of the first inferences that I can draw here from this story that Swami used to often tell us, and what I have understood of that, is we need to definitely mold our children. And in order to mold them, the best way is through action. Because that's the thing that is commonly asked. How do I want my children to love Swami. I want them to grow up in a virtuous manner. I want this, I want that. How do I do it? Through action. In fact, I would recommend that everybody sees or reads Swami's discourse on the 21st of July 2008. In that, Swami clearly says that action is most important. Children learn from what the parents do, not what they tell or not what they profess. We feel that children don't pay attention to us when we talk to them. Do I pay attention to my child when they talk to me, when she talks to me? When I find myself asking this question to myself, many times I fail. In fact, my children listen to me more than what I listen to them. I'm lost in my work. I'm lost in my phone. I'm lost in 100 other things. And I feel it's justified because I'm busy. That doesn't make sense for the children. And for them, it is just that my parents aren't there to give me attention. So that's okay if I don't give attention. In fact, children are born as mirrors, pure. That's why in India, in our Bharatiya tradition, when a baby is born, we touch the feet. Until the child turns 1 year old, he or she is considered a god and goddess. Even 100-year-old will come and take blessings of a newly born baby because they're born pure and divine. And then they begin to learn and reflect. Apart from the karmic baggage that they have carried and come, the rest of it is getting molded on a daily basis through our actions. Do I love and respect my parents, my elders? Yes, I may have a difference of opinion with my elders because I feel now I'm an adult. I'm 40-year-old. Come on. Mom, dad, uncle, aunt, whoever, seniors in the organization. Don't tell me all this. I'm an adult myself. And that the child picks up. I can disagree with my elder, but I need to do it respectfulully and with love. Because when my child disagrees with me, I feel so pained and hurt. When my child talks back to me, I feel so hurt. Yes, I'm allowing my child freedom to have his or her own thoughts. But dear child, please don't lose your respect. Don't talk to me without that love. I'm telling this with experience. When I'm just told off like that by my daughter, I feel so hurt. Can't you tell the same thing lovingly, Bhakti? Can't you speak the same thing with respect? And then I think, am I doing this? Because I have never told her don't talk with respect or don't talk with love, but maybe she has witnessed me speaking to my elders without love or without respect. That's why there's that famous story of how when parents are about to put the grandparents in an old age home and they're packing the vessels, the child comes and says, can I keep these vessels aside? For what? Because when I am going to send you to the old age home, I need these vessels. And the parents are shocked. You'll send us to the old age home? Yeah, you're sending grandparents, right? Huh? We may not exactly send them to the old age home, but when we don't have time for them, when we don't have our attention for them, I don't think that we can complain that our children don't have time for us or don't pay attention to us. And this thing of learning, children start learning from a very young age. In fact, again, Swami would narrate another story. This is the story from the Mahabharata, and it involves Arjuna, the greatest warrior among the Pandavas. And Swami says one day he comes back from a campaign, and he's an amazing warrior. He has vanquished so many people. Nobody can match him in skill or ability or bravery. When he comes back to his wife, he starts telling her, this was a complex formation and I broke through like this. And then he starts talking about the Chakra Vyuha. Chakra Vyuha is a very, very complex battle formation that very few people know how to pierce and enter. So he starts rattling about it, irrespective of whether she's interested in it or not, Often happens, right? I have experienced it as a husband. I just come and start talking official work and think this happened in office, that happened, this happened. I don't ask my wife how was it at home, whether she had a peaceful day, She has had an equally busy and tiring day, but I am lost in my own office thing and I start telling her. She's not interested, but she has to listen. Same way there, Subhadra is not interested, she has to listen and she dozes off. As it often happens to wives when husbands are speaking about office. So Arjuna is talking about his work and she dozes off. But Arjuna goes on, again as it happens. Husbands don't even notice that the wife has slept off and they go on, right? So Arjuna goes on, still narrating. And why Arjuna also goes on is because he keeps every now and then hearing a like that, So there's somebody responding to. So he's saying, then you do this, then that way you enter and you have to do this. Somebody is agreeing. And Swami would narrate how this is the unborn Abhimanyu in the womb of the mother, replying to Arjuna. And suddenly Arjuna turns and notices that, who is then? She has slept off. Okay. So he just covers her with a sheet, walks away. In the process, of course, he has not narrated how to come out of that Chakra Vyuha, out of that formation. He has narrated only how to enter. And fast forward many more years, when the Kurukshetra war is happening on the 13th day of the battle, of the war, on the 13th day, Arjuna is pulled away to fight the Samshatakas and he is not available for the war, and Abhimanyu says, I will break the Chakra Vyuha. But unfortunately, he knows only how to break in, he doesn't know how to break out, because he had not heard. And he knows how to break in from his memory of what he heard in the womb. Now, when Swami would narrate this, there is a chance that some people would think that these are just fantasies, some fantastic stories. But they are not. Modern science is waking up to the reality that even when the child is in the womb, child is perceptive, it's receptive, and there are many miracles that happen. So as I said, even when the baby is in the womb, the growth has already started. And that's why in our culture in India, the moment a woman is carrying, she gets pregnant, there will be so much importance given, because parenting begins back then. You have already become a parent now, even as the child is forming. And I know that there is a a man's perspective and a woman's perspective, and both of them are so important and both of them build harmoniously. And that's why I have requested Sister Pooja, I mean my wife Pooja, for you Sister Pooja, to speak a bit.
They say Deha Mata is very important because Deha Mata, that is the mother of this body, is the one who introduces you to all the other mothers, that is Go Mata, Bhu Mata, Veda Mata, Desha Mata. Now, many times people say, why only the mother should be the first teacher? Well, nature has made it that way. When a child is inside the womb, possibly they hear all the other voices around them, but the first voice, or the closest voice rather, would be the heart of the mother, because the child inside can hear the heartbeat of the mother. Also, once they start hearing, the first sounds that they would hear is possibly the mother's voice, because whether you like it or not, the child is with you all the time, right? So whatever you speak, whatever you say, whatever you feel is everything that is passed on to the child. And this is even before the child is born. Today, science is telling us that it is important to have the child, that is an embryo who is within, not yet born, but even at the embryo stage, you need to have some connection. You need to have them respond to stimulus. So they are trying to tell, nowadays science is telling us that we need to talk, we need to engage with the child. But if you look at what traditionally what was done, what possibly our mothers, grandmothers would tell us, is that the mother needs to speak to the child every day. The mother should chant God's name every day. The mother should sing to the child. All of this was to trigger that connection, so that when the child comes out, they are already familiar with one voice, with that person whom they have heard all through the 9 months. In my first pregnancy, I would chant Hanuman Chalisa every night and just before going to bed. After Bhakti was born, there was a small initial phase where she used to find it really difficult to go to sleep. She was a very light sleeper, so every time there was a slight sound or some sort of a disturbance, she would wake up. And with most children, once they wake up, it's very difficult to get them back to sleep. So we had many sleepless nights and it was really difficult. And then one day I just thought, let's try Hanuman Chalisa. And surprisingly, though she was a very light sleeper, every light sound would wake her up. With Hanuman Chalisa, she would fall asleep just like that. Come to think of it, Hanuman Chalisa is not like a lullaby. It does not repeat. There's a lot of highs and lows. Now, why would a child, a newborn, go to sleep hearing Hanuman Chalisa? I think it was because of all the 9 months that she was used to hearing it before, she possibly did not hear any other movement after that, because I would fall asleep after that. So I think it's really important that we have that connect with children. Whether you believe it or not, these are little things that help in the long-term connection between the parent and the child.
That is what it is. We need to start imbibing this right from the young age. As parents, we keep trying to build this love for God in our children. That is the most important duty, responsibility that I feel we have, and we are privileged enough to know that. Many times parents don't even know. They wonder what is the thing they should give their child. Is it a good education? Is it a good this? Is it a good, even up till marriage they are worried whether they are marrying the right person. Yeah, all those matter, but the most important is, do they love God? Because that is one thing with which all of the problems can be solved, because they will know how to solve it on their own. So I think that is the note on which I would like to conclude this talk and say that, Swami, may we love you more and more with every passing moment, and as parents, may we build that love for you in our children more and more every passing moment. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.